Okay, on that note, something that you've written about, something that Tim Noakes has written extensively about. You mentioned something that kind of alluded to it earlier with salt. Speaking of indoctrination, this will not die. It never goes away. I don't know where it came from, but it just will not die, and it has to die. The amount of water that you should be drinking in a day, 8 glasses or a gallon, or at least a half a gallon, or make sure you're drinking this size water bottle every 2 hours or whatever. It won't go away, dude. What is the right amount of water that we all should be drinking?
Well, for a few thousand years, we used to drink when we were thirsty, and we seemed to go pretty well with that. That seemed to work all right.
You're kidding. That's all
Uh,
we did. We didn't measure out exactly the right
yeah,
quantity.
funny, no, funny about that, wasn't it? Yeah,
Wow.
we just drank what when we were thirsty, and again, it's the marketing business, No, you've got to fuel, you've got to fluids all the time. You've got to drink, all this sort of stuff. There's no science that says you've got to have 8 glasses or eight or a gallon there's no science that says that. But yet it's become sort of part of folklore. It's a little bit like cereals for breakfast, or you've got to have breakfast. I mean, these are just marketing tools. And we've all been conned. I mean, they're very clever. These people, they're much smarter than we are. They know how to manipulate public opinion and so on. So I drink when I'm thirsty. I mean, it's crazy that this constant sort of drinking, and you spend your whole life peeing it out, and yeah, I think there's no evidence really that we need as much fluid as we think. And then this whole salt thing. I mean, everyone's been crazy about no salt. We're focused on the wrong white crystal. I mean, it's not salt that's a problem; it's sugar that's a problem. And ironically, when you go on a low carb diet, you don't need as much salt because the kidney conserves it, and yeah, I just add salt to my food, and that's fine, So which is what I used to do when I was a kid, and then we were told no salt, salt's bad for you, and so on. I mean, the science says that extremely low intakes of salt and extremely high intakes of salt are detrimental to your health. But there is a massive sort of middle ground that virtually everyone's intake of salt is covered under that is perfectly okay health wise. And this nonsense about salt for blood pressure and so on. I mean, at the most, it might make a difference of 1 point in your blood pressure or 2 points in your blood pressure. I mean, it really is not the problem. In fact, you'll do much better getting off sugar and carbohydrates for your blood pressure than you will getting off salt. And
Absolutely.
there's clear evidence of that. So, again, the wrong white crystal we've been demonizing.
Yep, absolutely. So it is funny to reflect on the thought that it like really wasn't that many years ago that the concept of like somebody's going to sell me a bottle of water, that wasn't that long ago. And I remember the jokes that people were saying, like, they're selling water in a bottle. Are they going to start selling us air next? Like, well, they probably will at some point. We should all admit. So it is ridiculous. It might be a bit of a marketing thing for sure. Can you talk a little bit about where that crosses over into becoming actually very dangerous? Like when you see a marathon that's being run in a hot climate and they've got rest stops every mile with tons of water, what makes you worried about that?
Well, I mean, drinking a huge amount of plain water without any electrolytes, without any sodium or potassium, can be very dangerous. And in fact, our friend Tim Noakes was one of the people who described this condition called hyponatremia. So natremia is sodium, so hypo is low, so low sodium. And before we really understood it, there were some deaths in marathons and long distance events from people who, and it was tended to be the slower runners who were drinking lots of water along the way and with no salt, and they would collapse, at the finish line, and people thought, oh, they're dehydrated, so they'd pump them with more water, and that was the last thing they wanted. What their problem was that their sodium levels had become so diluted that they stopped functioning. As I said, there were some very tragic circumstances until Tim Noakes and others realised that no, the problem was lack of sodium, and so we encourage people to not just drink plain water if they're going on a lengthy sort of run. I mean, for short distances, fine, but if you're running a marathon 2, 3, 4 hours, you don't want to be having plain water. You want to be having electrolytes as well, sodium and potassium, really important. And then if people do collapse at the end of a marathon, always think about the fact that it might be low sodium rather than dehydration, and actually pump them full of sodium, and they'll do much better.